Reed, good to see you. I want to ask about a couple of topics. My colleagues have covered some of the others that I hope to ask about adequately. One is about the connection, if we want to have adequate sea lift for military purposes, the connection between that and our food aid programs. So, you know, we're all grappling with cuts, pauses. The Supreme Court rendered a ruling today that may reopen the door on humanitarian assistance through USAID. Food aid, about 40% of our humanitarian aid programs are food aid, and it's the delivery of U.S.-grown food to other nations. Just using Africa, the African continent, as an example, the U.S. flagged ships that deliver the aid sort of count on that as what they call one leg of a three-legged stool. They transfer food aid, they transfer DoD cargo, and they transfer FMS or other executive agency cargo. And by transferring all of those and earning revenue for doing it, it maintains a business model where they can keep these ships available for sea lift capacity. If food aid were to disappear and one leg of that three-legged stool were to go away, what would the effect be on the availability of U.S. flagged vessels to be around when we need it for sea lift chores?
U.S. flagged vessels with U.S. crews are critical. We need to make sure that they can go to sea and stay afloat. By us following cargo preference laws, we can actually provide the material for them to actually sail. What that does is it makes them ready. I need them ready. I need them to have a job and know that they have something that they can do. And so when they actually get called to be there for the nation, they're actually there. If for some reason they were not there, then we don't have U.S. citizens supporting us at sea.
And this is really important. My colleagues did a good job of asking, for example, about the need to purchase more, you know, high-quality used vessels so we'd have more sea lift capacity. But with the existing capacity we have, if we were to fundamentally change the sort of business model that keeps those ships ready and on the water by cutting out one part of their revenue, the food aid, for example, then we would reduce even further the capacity that we need so that it might not be available at the time that we need it. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Thank you for that. My colleagues asked some questions, and you talked in your opening testimony about the DoD contract for the Global Housing Goods contract, 40,000 DoD personnel in Virginia. I'm sorry, 120,000 active duty in Virginia, and assuming you move about every 3 years, that's 40,000 moves out and 40,000 moves in. You talked a little bit about how the transition is going, but there was a specific question I wanted to ask. There's something called the continuing to use the Tender of Service Legacy Program during the ongoing GHC ramp-up program, so the kind of the old way of doing it. Now, the rates associated with the legacy program are often 20 to 30% higher than those outlined in the GHC contract. So understandably, some suppliers might be hesitant to transition to the GHC program if they're able to secure more favorable rates by remaining under the legacy system. So this creates an odd situation where two programs are unintentionally positioned against one another, and Transcom can incur significantly higher costs under the legacy program. So how are you managing this legacy to GHC program so that there's not this perverse incentive to remain in the legacy program because the rates are higher?
So the rates are set by what we call a government constructed cost, and we are only able to adjust those rates once a year, which actually happens in May. So once again, we're in a situation where to allow the process to go, we have to wait until May when we have the next opportunity to adjust the rates, which we will do. Those rates will be more in line with the constructed costs, so therefore it will be less of an incentive to stay outside than to join the GHC.
Great. I'll follow back up after May to see how much we've narrowed that gap and whether that's doing what it needs to do. I will express my support for a position I think my colleagues have already gotten at, that if you need authorization within the NDA to expand the fleet by purchasing more high-quality used vessels, I really would like to make sure you have that authority, and I'll join with my colleagues to see if we can be helpful in that regard. I'll yield back, Mr.